Welcome, my dear, dear friends. We are Semaine. We send you the light of Sirius, that star system holding aspects of God consciousness for your planet, your solar system, and your species. May you fill up with these lights so that you can radiate them outward unto all who may receive it. Good. Now, we had a discussion last week about you as light workers and how many times you have felt, perhaps, that you have fallen a bit from your equilibrium, when in fact we see that you are doing much better than you actually perceive yourself as being. One of the questions that has come up, though, is, am I really a light worker? Have I any of those skills that you have discussed in previous talks? Well, generally speaking, and this is just on a general basis, but if you are drawn to this work, if the journeys and the information that we have discussed resonate with you on any level, then yes, you are a light worker. We do realize that some of you may not be conscious of your connection to your guides or to the masters, healers, and teachers on the inner planes, of which there are many. A conscious connection or realization of that connection is not necessary to have that connection. Remember, these experiences with these beings occur on a different level of consciousness, a different level of perception than what your normal everyday consciousness consists of. And because there is a veil of forgetting in this plane, which is something that is not only a creation of the plane, but an agreement among all those who participate as well, this veil of forgetting. Because of this, you may not remember the connections or the interactions you may have with them. Much of it occurs when you are asleep. But there are times when you are connecting to your guides and interacting with them during your waking consciousness periods. But because of the type of focus you must have in the physical plane, you are not aware of those interactions. Some of you may sometimes suddenly become aware that you're having a conversation, in your mind at least. But when you begin to focus upon that realization, the threads of it begin to dissolve. Many times that is a portion of your being in contact with beings on the higher vibrational planes. And again, when we say higher planes, we mean vibrationally speaking. We're not speaking in terms of directionally up or down or sideways even. Although there are planes that do go in what you might call parallel directions. But what we are speaking of is shifting your vibration so that you can be aware on those planes. It takes practice. For some, it may seem to be more naturally occurring, but for many, they must again find ways or methods to attune themselves to those different planes and then practice attuning their awareness, usually through some type of meditative technique. But again, just because you're not aware of those connections, it does not mean that you do not have them. Essentially, everyone has a guide. Of course, in Western culture at least, many have referred to the concept of a guardian angel. An angel or angelic being that looks out for you and is assigned to you for the lifetime that you have. Well, this is, we will say, a distortion of another concept, which is, of course, relating to guidance, and some of it relating to what in esoteric circles, and again, we're speaking in Western concepts, of a solar angel who is not only assigned to you for the lifetime, but for the cycle of lifetimes that you have. Some refer to it as a Kumara. Again, these are concepts to assist you in understanding what is occurring. And they must be distilled through the cultural and educational and spiritual understanding that you have at any given time. And that may be in place for any given culture and time period. There are those who are beginning to frame many of these experiences using computer technology. And so you have those who say that this is a hologram projection from another source. They are not wrong. It is just another way of framing these concepts to help those interested understand better what it is they may be experiencing, and a way to define reality as you know it and the greater reality, which is still largely unexplored by humanity. And so these concepts help frame whatever understanding or experience that any individual or groups might have. We are all interconnected, and we all have inner connections and relationships. Some of you may have had dreams where you have encountered individuals or groups of people whom you seemed to know, at least during the dream, but upon waking realized that you had no idea who these people were. More than likely, you were interacting with those not incarnate at this time, as well as beings who have never incarnated that you are familiar with on the inner planes. Some of these beings, and even humans who are not incarnate, may be guides and teachers of yours. Again, you all have those inner connections. What we were discussing in our last talk was beginning to follow whatever inspirations that were coming up for you, whether it be to explore more your guides, whether it be to explore a healing modality, whether it be to increase your time in meditation, or even taking up a new hobby such as painting or sculpting. These are manifestations of the energies that are present now and are causing many to open up to more of their gifts, their spiritual gifts, and some of which also can manifest on the physical plane. In many ways, well, let us take, for instance, the idea of a painter, those who are painting images and portraits. They may be tapping into that talent, which of course all comes from what we call spirit, that all comes from what we would say is a more source type of being, taking that energy and distilling it down into physical objects, physical paintings. All of this energy is a type of frozen light. It is light, or energy, if you will, that has been frozen into what you perceive as physical objects. And so, you are essentially yourself frozen light, frozen energy. Energy and light that has been frozen into a physical form. And any of the manifestations that you may have on the physical plane will also be light that has been frozen, energy that has been frozen. Since you are of light at essence, you work with light, you bring light, and you bring it into this plane as a type of frozen energy, as it were. And again, these are only metaphors to help you understand. At least we hope it helps you understand. And so, as a light worker, you are essentially going into those realms of light and energy and bringing them into this form, this frozen form of light and energy. And so as a painter, you are accessing those higher vibrational energies and light and using them to create images. It is still light energy, but it is now in a more still, you would call it solid form. But it is truly frozen light and energy. And we sometimes use light and energy, those terms interchangeably. But they are truly the same. Truly the same. And so, as a painter, you may believe, upon hearing some of our talks or doing some of our journeys, that you have no light working skills. But we would disagree and say, no, your talent is the essence of light work. And this is true for most things. If you find yourself drawn to doing the energy work that we lay out in our meditation journeys, you are essentially working with pure light. We would say again, this fits the definition of Lightworker. We would heartily emphasize that, by the way. And so, my friends, try to expand your understanding of what a light worker is. Outside of concepts that you may have collected throughout your lifetime. When we say light worker, we are not speaking of the wizard Merlin taking his staff and having electrical light flow out of it. Although that would obviously be a light worker. We are saying that this manifests in many, many, many different ways. Even those who may be doing things that you do not necessarily see as positive are working with light. They are just working with a different aspect of it. So we hope that we have assuaged any doubts that you might have about yourself if you are listening to this talk or have listened to our other talks, and that we have assisted you in expanding your viewpoint not only of what a light worker is and does, but who is a light worker. For you are a light worker. That is at the essence of who you are. And so, my friends, we hope again that we find you well, and we will continue our talks and some journeys along the way as well. And so we recede, leaving you with that Syrian God consciousness. May you fill up with this light so that you can radiate it outward unto all who may receive it. Good day for now, my loving friends.